Now that we've braided our breakout, we're going to braid the rest of this in automatic mode. A couple things to note when braiding in automatic mode. The first is that we want our branches to run up. When the branch runs up, as it naturally falls as it is here and is coming through the machine, it will be perpendicular to the main trunk of the harness, and that will make it more easily detectable. If it were the other way around and our branch was running down, the sensor would only detect this as a diameter change in the harness and continue to braid over our breakout. So, with our branch up, we're going to go ahead and load the machine and then talk about some of our settings. So I've manually braided far enough to get the braiding up into the grip range of our belts. Then I simply press the start button once to bring my arms together. Now there's three settings that I'd like to talk about. The first is speed. On our speed setting, this is basically just the braider speed setting. This is the unit speed. We leave ours set to 10, but you could turn yours down to a lower number if you needed to go slower for any reason. Next is our end distance. The end distance affects how close we're going to get to the end of the harness before we stop. Now this is just going to be at the end of the harness and it does not affect the branch. Lastly, we'll talk about our braid angle. Our braid angle affects our coverage. As we get closer in and look at this braid angle, right now we're set to 5, and that's where we're going to run for this video. But as I go down to 0, you can see that we have a flatter braid angle. And if we go the other direction and up to a 10, you can see that we have a much steeper braid angle. Again, this will affect your coverage and is determined more by yours or your customer's specifications. I'm going to turn this back down to 5. And we're going to go ahead and press our start button a second time to begin the automatic braiding. Okay, so our machine is stopped. We have our yellow light noting that we need attention. And if we look inside, we can see that our branch is right up at the bottom of where all the yarn comes together. So all we do at this point is hit our stop button once to allow our arms to retract. We're going to pull the branch through, and then we can simply hold them both up, hit our start button to bring our arms back together. And we'll hit our start button again to continue braiding. Okay, so we've come to the end of our harness. Now this is where we'd like to talk about end distance a little bit in this setting. To do that, we've got a few harnesses here that help us to give a visual representation of the setting differences. Right here you'll see a setting of 0. Now, the setting will vary slightly depending on your connector type, but this is where we ended up with a 0. This was a setting of 5. And this was a setting of 10. Now this is a range. On our scale, we have a 0 to 10, but it gives you roughly a 4-inch range. So 0 being 0 and a 10 being a 4-inch. If you should have a need to stop further than 4 inches away from the end of the harness, you simply throw a little tape flag on the harness where you want to stop, and this will stop you there. It will detect it like a branch, so it will just come right up to your tape flag. In this case, we wanted to stop 9 inches away from the end of the connector, so we put our tape flag here, and this is what we got. Again, this was set to 5 for the purpose of this video, but all we have to do now is hit our stop buttons to retract our arms, and we'll go ahead and finish this branch, finish this harness like we normally would. So there we have it. We hope this has been a helpful video in showing you how you can let the braider do the work for you.